आपको बंद करने फरी
जो
थोड़ा फोकस कम रखना भाई। Shivanand sir, Sanjeev, should we start? Good evening and very warm welcome. Can we close the door, please? Very warm welcome to all of you. This is the 8th memorial lecture in memory of Professor Rooshikumar Pandya. And this is a wonderful tribute to a great individual. Let me introduce you the core committee who has worked very hard for this program year after year. The main architect is Shivanandhan sir. Sanjeev Bhai, who comes from Bombay, Ahmedabad, but he is equally in Mumbai all the time. Rajan, who is traveling, so Rajan is not able to. Then Mr. Vallabh Balsali, he is also traveling, so he could not remain here. But these are the people who has worked very hard. And of course, without your support, this would have not been possible. This is a wonderful way to pay a tribute to an individual where we had a long association. And I'm very happy that Dr. Kavita Laghate, who is the president of Bombay Management Association, Mr. Rajesh Sharma, who is the vice president of Bombay Management Association, they have also agreed to be a part of it. Pandya Saab's association with Bombay Management Association has gone very long, for almost more than 20-25 years, where we had a 3 days management festival in Jai Hind College. Earlier we started at Birla Matoshri, and then it was shifted to Jai Hind College, three days. NL Dalmia Institute was the main sponsor. Professor Arya was the main person who helped us. And we approached Dr. Kavita Laghate, and she was kind enough to accept our invitation and be a part of it. So we are extremely thankful to Dr. Kavita Laghate and members of Bombay Management Association. Without taking much time, let me start with a small video of Rooshikumar Pandya, and then I invite all the guests to come on the dais and take their seat. So let's start with a small film on Rooshikumar Pandya.
Ladies and gentlemen, namaste, adab, good evening.
Rooshikumar Pandya, the voice and style that mesmerized thousands of people through the decades, had very humble beginnings. The incredible journey that began in Ahmedabad in 1964 traversed across the globe, spreading the Rooshi magic and training and helping multitudes of individuals in achieving their dreams. A teacher by heart, his life story in itself is a huge inspiration for achieving the impossible.
I made a mission in my life that, as I said repeatedly over the 3 days, that people have a phenomenal potential, and 15% of the people work at achieving that. I want to raise that 15% by a fraction before I die. The point, ladies and gentlemen, is that faith and something that you want to do, and you want passion to go with it, and your conviction that you can do it. What happens otherwise is most people, the life is summarized in 2 lines of a Urdu poet. Hum kya kahe ahbab, hum kya kahe ahbab, kya kare numaya kar gaye. Dear friends, what can I tell you what great deeds I achieved in my life? Hum kya kahe ahbab, kya kare numaya kar gaye. BA hue, naukar hue, pension mili aur mar gaye.
He aimed at bringing the best out from everyone who crossed their paths with him.
You have to have a vision, clarity of goal. You have to have a conviction and faith that it's going to happen. And I tell you the best story about faith from the Ramayana, which is not in the Ramayana. When Ram, Sita, Lakshman, all that happened afterwards, the war was won. On the way to Ayodhya, they pitched a tent at Marina Beach in Chennai. About midnight, Ram got out of his tent, went to Marina Beach, picked up in the ocean, threw it in the water, and it sank. He picked up another one, threw it in the water, that too sank. Picked up the third one, same thing. He kept on throwing, all the stones kept on sinking. Hanumanji's Angarakshak, his bodyguard, watching this operation from a palm tree, climbed down. He goes to Ram. He says, Bhagwan, you fought all this war. And what are you doing at midnight throwing stones in the water? Ram was very embarrassed. He said, you monkeys have been lying to me. So Hanumanji said, what are you saying, Bhagwan? We never lied to you. He said, you monkeys told me that you put my name on these stones and you threw them into the water and they started floating. I am throwing, each one of them is sinking. Hanumanji started laughing. He said, Bhagwan, when we put your name on these stones, we had faith in you. You don't, you're doubting yourself. And that is why in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna tells Arjuna, Sanshayatma Vinashyati. One who doubts destroys himself.
There were hardly any subject in human development that he did not pursue, master, and teach.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a triangle. There are three angles, RVP, Rooshikumar Pandya. R stands for rescuer, V for victim, P for persecutor. If you think about it, it's a Hindi film formula. Now, Vijay Sahab. Rescuer is the hero, Yadon Ki Barat. We have Mr. Vijay Arora here, the hero of Yadon Ki Barat. So, then victim is the heroine and persecutor is the villain. Now, the point is, in interaction with people, if you want to be assertive, avoid taking any one of these roles, rescuer, victim, or persecutor, because no matter what role you took while you got on the triangle, once you are on the triangle, the role will keep on shifting. You have no control as to what role you will get. Just think, I put a 12-foot long steel board on this stage, which is 12 inches wide. You got the picture? 12 feet long, 12 inches wide. I say, okay, all 1,000 of you lined up. We're going to walk over this steel board without stepping off onto the stage. Just have to keep your feet all the time within these 12 inches. You say, come on, it's stupid. We can do it. Is anybody who cannot do it? All of you can do it? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, I pick up the board, put in between two buildings, 40 stories high. Building A to building B. How many takers? Ones who work for the fire department. Your imagination takes over. And now when you realize that you cannot do it, let me change one more variable. Same board, same two buildings. Same board, same two buildings. You are there, building A, building B. There is a fire in building A, that's the only exit. Would you run? So the point is you can do it, right? So because you harness your energies, that's what I want you to know. So if you want to succeed, ladies and gentlemen, you got to harness your energy.
Rooshikumar Pandya, winner of innumerous accolades and honor from world over. His going away from this world left a huge void amidst us. His wisdom, his charisma, his style, his voice, his laughter, everything about him is missed by us. But his teachings live on as an inspiration for us. Guruji, we lay our humble contributions at the altar of your legacy and seek your blessings.
I share the words of great poet Kavita Shantanukul Pavanasya Shivaste Pantaha. May the winds be calm and favorable and the paths auspicious. God bless.
Guruji, aapko shat shat pranam.
This film is prepared by Rajan. He is not here, but he has taken a lot of pain. May I request Shivanandhan sir to escort our guests, Ashit sir, Sanjeev, Dr. Kavita Laghate, please join us. Okay, before I ask Shivanand to introduce the speaker and the subject of today, may I request Supriya to hand over bouquet to Shivanand sir to welcome our guest, Sheth sir. May I also request Supriya to give it to Sanjeev Shah, who is one of the architect of this program, to hand it over to Dr. Kavita Laghate, our partner. And Supriya, you can hand over one memento to Shivanandhan sir, who is our dearer. Sir, you also require motivation. No. Sir. So may I request Shivanand sir to say a few words too, and then we can begin the program.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Dr. Sheth and Dr. Kavita Laghate from the BMA, and my friend Sanjeev, and all the dignitaries who are sitting here, particularly Mr. M.R. Reddy, Mr. Sati Sahani, and all my friends here. I can't be naming each one of you. I am very, very grateful to you for having found time to come here during a Sunday evening. Particularly, it's a daunting task to come out of the house. And also COVID, whether it has left us or not, we don't know. Whether a fourth wave is forthcoming or not, we don't know. People can't take risks, but still you have all come. I am absolutely indebted to you for having found time here. And thank you, Dr. Sheth. I've been asked to speak about RKP and also about Dr. Sheth, both of my good friends. About RKP, you have seen the video, so I wouldn't speak much about him. The normal attire he wears is not what you have seen. Normally, he wears only a kurta pajama and a chappal. And he doesn't wear any watch or anything like that, nor he owned any car. And wherever he went for delivering such lectures, he would carry his own loudspeaker and all that other equipment there. And then one day I told him, because we are so friendly, I picked him up. How did I pick him? How did I become his friend? He is a Canadian passport holder. He went on a student exchange program from Ahmedabad at very early ages, maybe school or something. Besides Gujarati, he didn't know anything. In a very dramatic way, he will describe in all his speeches as to how he reached, how an American came, and how he spoke English, and how he fumbled, and all that is fantastic. So he is a Canadian passport holder while traveling in that Schindler's List, you know, the Schindler's Lift, not list, Schindler's Lift in SB2. I saw a man who was a little too different. Long gray hair up to the shoulders, and then huge rings, you know, with colorful stones, and pajama kurta, you know, not like those foreigners whom I used to handle. So I liked him. I said something special about him. I told him, will you come with me to my office? He didn't know that I was a DCP. We went there and then we sat and we had a long chat. Every month or 15 days, we used to go for lunch because he was a foodie. Between you and me, it took 12 years for me to find out whether he was married, whether he had children or not, all that. But actually, he was married to the great Annapurna Devi, the great maestro Annapurna Devi, and he took care of her. And then they were married and they were living together. But then he wouldn't tell anything personal, nor I would ever ask. That's the kind of relationship he had. But a fantastic human being. Why are we celebrating his birthday? Today is 82nd birthday, I believe. And this is the 8th lecture. And in between 2 years, we did not do any lecture because of COVID. And that's why we are requesting him to speak about good, bad, ugly, about the COVID times. And that is Rooshikumar Pandya. He was if you found him mesmerizing, yes, he is a mesmerizing personality because he was a hypnotist. And he has written a book on hypnotism and translated in Tamil. He was a gemologist. All his fingers, 10 fingers, he had 10 varieties of gems. I used to tell him, Rushi bhai, kabhi to kabhi mujhe bhi yaad rakhe, ye sab mujhe dena chahiye, and all that. He used to laugh. I told him, what? No, you don't even have a watch. he went and bought 3 gold Rolex watches. So he says, Shivanandhan sir, look at this. I have a watch. I told him, "Kya Kali Pili taxi mein ja rahe hain?" He bought a Mercedes Benz, maroon color Mercedes. And how do you like this color? He was asking me. That's the kind of personality, very infectious kind of personality, master communicator, and he learned everything. Fencing, can you believe? Cooking, or gemology, psychology, hypnotism, what not, everything, whatever he felt like learning, he would learn and then start practicing. That's the kind of a friend he was. He was a great friend, but many of you know him as a guru, and Dr. Seth is a great friend of him, and we also became friends because of that. With that, I will leave RKP. He would have been 82. Today is his birthday. That is why we have this memorial lecture. I hope next year onwards we'll be going ahead with this program. I invite you for the next year also. Now only, same time, same place, 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for coming. Now about the subject. What do I know of the subject? So I'm not going to fall flat and break my nose. That I leave it to the chief guest and the main speaker today. But Dr. Seth is again a great friend of ours, so I can talk about him a bit. He is one of the most brilliant students as far as the education psychiatry is concerned. He stood first in MBBS, later on in MD, maybe another diploma, and then he wrote 50 or more articles in the international professional papers he has written. And he got so many medals and recognitions. Oration was his passion, and he is also a fantastic teacher. He got, he is interested in photography, and I knew Madam Rekha Seth too. She was practicing a skin specialist, and then he got Dr. Vaidya Lectureship Award in 1993, Dr. K.T. Dolakia Lectureship Award in 2004, Dr. V.V. Jaikar Award in Oration in 2005, Ardeshir Dalal Memorial Oration in 2013, Dr. Lulla Oration in 2018. He, being a professor, he at the time, maybe we all could recollect if we belong to that generation. Then in the mid 1950 or in the middle of the century, this job of being a psychiatrist was not given the due importance. So to attract people with due talent, he became a professor, and with his varieties of techniques which he used, attracted the best talent, and thus he became one of the best professors. And he has been practicing for 50 years. 50 years of practicing. The other day, I told some person that Dr. Ashit Sheth is speaking. That person immediately said, "Ha, I know him. He's a fantastic psychiatrist." They used a special word called maverick psychiatrist. I said, that's a great title for him. So in this middle of the 20th century, when other branches were shining, people were paying money to go and join there, he attracted people to this less attractive field, and he took to teaching and taught to many, many people with creative approach of teaching, audio visuals, and various other things. And he has got a clinic called Potentialities Unlimited, and then works in Bombay Hospital and also in other leading hospitals in Mumbai. And he is still practicing. And he has authored quite a few books, an illustrated booklet on Alzheimer's disease and unexplained medical symptoms. Dr. Seth made 4 professional audio visuals. One of them on the subject called Psychological Aspect of Pain got a standing ovation in the international conference related to discussions on pain held at Delhi. So he is an illustrious practitioner and a professor, a teacher, and also a great friend of Dr. Rooshikumar Pandya. Dr. Rooshikumar Pandya was not a doctor. I used to always call him Dr. Rooshikumar Pandya. I used to in a shy way say, Shivanandhan Sahab, I have not got a doctorate. But still today I commit the same mistake. Dr. Rooshikumar Pandya was he to me always, and he would ever be. And with this, I request the speaker to take control of the lecture. Thank you, sir.
My name is Prof. How do I change the slides? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I thank Bombay Management Association to invite me for this Rooshikumar Pandya oration. Rooshibai was a special person in my life. The first course by Indo-American Society, which was held at Western Hotel, I was sick. As a psychiatrist, we are brought up with a lot of skepticism about hypnosis because Freud contaminated the whole situation because he was a bad hypnotist, he was a bad psychotherapist, but he established psychoanalysis. But he also abandoned hypnosis, and hypnosis was not recognized as a part of medicine. People who practiced hypnosis were imprisoned. There was Azid Ali in East Bengal prison. He operated 101 cases under hypnosis. His license to practice was taken away and he died in oblivion. So when I read his advertisement, I was wondering, what is this? Somebody who is not a doctor, not a PhD, nothing. What is he taking care? So out of curiosity, I went with a lot of skepticism. It was 4 days of seminar. I saw this man. He was wearing a suit, funny tie, rings in his fingers. But the moment he started speaking, I was floored. I was completely taken over. His oratory was fabulous. His capacity to hold the audience was fantastic. His spontaneity, his humor was phenomenal. And at the interval in lunchtime, I asked him, you know from Ahmedabad, you know my uncle's mama, anybody? Oh, I know them. Atma Siddhartha Bhaniyo. And that was the beginning. 7 years he stayed with me. Every day was memorable, except when he traveled. Although he was fond of drinking, partying, everything. But the day he decided to become a student of Annapurna Devi, he cut off every privilege is what he enjoyed. He was strict in pursuing what he wanted to do. So one fine day I asked him, what do you think of my lecture? I had guts to ask him. He didn't tell me anything. He just paused for a while and said, Ashit, most doctors are lousy communicators. They don't know what to tell patients. They don't know how to tell patients. And generally patients leave consulting room more confused than what they entered. It's a jargon, medical jargon. You are not appearing in exam. You're not presenting your details to some conference or something like that. He is a patient who wants to know. That gave me a hint and I took subject seriously, doctor-patient relationship. I understood those people, those doctors who were good in doctor-patient relationship had lesser litigation against them. The patients were more satisfied. Patients understood doctors because they were good listeners and doctors communicated well to the emotions of the patients and not to the dry medical facts. Understand that need for a person in 1970, a college in Britain decided to teach the interns how to communicate to the patients. With little teaching, they could improve doctor-patient relationship considerably. I imbibed a lot of hints and techniques of teaching from him. He told me the best way to make a lecture interesting is to tell them stories. And you have abundant stories of your patients, abundant anecdotes to remember. Everything goes down throat very easily. The concepts, the dry concepts, are difficult to absorb. I'm genuinely grateful. Fortunately, my first photograph was used on his first audio, I think, tapes, which he distributed and sold. I took that photograph just casually. I was invited to shoot his marriage ceremony, but he told me it is confidential and I want you to give me back the disc. This was Rooshikumar Pandya, who stayed with me for 7 years and left my house when he got married to Annapurna Devi and moved with her. Today's lecture is of a different type. Everybody thinks of COVID as a dangerous virus, a virus that can kill you, virus that can affect you. So what happens here is this particular virus, small little virus, shook the world, brought it to its knees, and made us sweat and slog. This virus is changing rapidly. Can you go back? Don't put an auto change, please. So this particular virus was instrumental in killing approximately 10 lakh of people over a period of short time. If you look back at the statistics, US had more fatalities than India. Why was it? Because this man, the President of America, said, this is just a fad. It will go over. Take chloroquine and you'll be all right. It's like a common cold. Sherman, a Columbia University epidemiologist, said that he could have saved many lives if he would have taken a prompt action. If you look back, today's world, we have removed forests. We have high consumption, pollution of air, and we use a lot of forest fuel. We have atmosphere, there is carbon dioxide levels have shot up, and population has thickened. It is migrated towards cities. We have skyscrapers. So all these factors led us to this pandemic. This virus, if you look at it, if you take your hair, the breadth of your hair is 200 times thicker than this virus. That gives it high penetrable capacity. It can be transmitted from a person to person without difficulty. So here, both the front, people who did not know anything about this virus became, this is the graph, if he would have implemented isolation and restriction in mobility, he could have said 1 week earlier, he would have saved 30,000 deaths. And if it was 2 weeks earlier, he would have saved 11,000. So the late implementation of quarantine and lockdown produced so much of calamity. our Indians will know what's behind. If you look at it, people who propagated coronal pill, and they said it's a common cold. They said its oxygen is abundant in your environment. There is no need to get extra oxygen. You just have to learn how to breathe. Again, it's getting. So what is important here to realize? What is happening? Okay. Okay, I'm pressing wrong buttons. So this, and Ayush propagates Amla Ras for Corona. What you get the meaning out of this? Are these scientists who can understand the virus, who can understand virology, who can understand the calamity which it produced? No. Let me read out one simple first-hand experience of a colleague of mine who spent few days in ICU looking after those COVID patients. He claimed this was my dirtiest experience of life. This was the first wave. There were no proper PPI. There were no drugs available. Doctors were randomly practicing whatever they could do to save patients, and patients felt like a guinea pig. Many patients, the relatives left those patients behind and ran away. Even if they recovered, they did not claim to come back and will try to contact. They gave a wrong phone number, wrong address. And there were a number of dead bodies lying there. And it was catastrophic. This is jumping. Okay. So what is happening to these people? What is happening to these people was he contacted COVID. He was quarantined for 3 weeks in a hotel, Taj Residency. And he stayed there for 3 weeks. The food was left outside his home. Nobody was there to attend him. He felt so miserable. He cried on the 4th day. And he felt completely. He was discharged after 2nd day of ICU. And he felt so miserable that he rang up and took an insurance, Mediclaim, heavy, which later he realized was an impulsive act, which it would not have taken normally. Today also 2 years have passed. He used to climb as a perfectly fit individual. He could climb 6 floors without any breathlessness. Today, he gets breathless on 2nd floor. There's extensive fibrosis in upper and lower limb respiratory tract. He suffered from depression, and he said that one of his colleagues, she had a post-traumatic stress disorder, and he had treated her for that. Can we just switch off the? It's getting too confusing now. So COVID, it gave us lessons. Some of them were good, which will come last. Some of them were bad, and some of them were ugly. If you look back at the scenes of ICU, this was the situation during the first phase of ICU. This was a cremation where people had to be cremated by those workers. Many of them suffered from COVID later. He said it was deaths, deaths, and deaths everywhere. Also, in addition to that, many of the people who were working with COVID suffered from anxiety. They felt fearful. Their ICU experiences were horrible. And they suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, whenever you encounter anything traumatic, sudden, catastrophic, life-threatening, like there is a fire in one building and you have to cross to other building, those sort of experiences leaves behind permanent scars in your head. It was not recognized well because America used to look after those veterans who came back from Afghanistan. We enjoy reading those rape news. We don't know what happens to those victims. Always in the film ends when the rapist is caught, problem is solved. But people don't realize the problem begins for some people. It's catastrophic. There is severe anxiety. There is perpetual vigilance. There are flashbacks. Suddenly anything would bring back the scene. He, even today, when he notices ICU or sees a movie pertaining to any critical condition, his anxiety increases. Those flashbacks paralyzes him and he breaks into sweat. Initially, he used to get nightmares. He used to imagine or dream about those situations and create problem. There are sleep disturbances, appetite disturbances, and many of the people who have come back from war or who have gone through it, they take alcohol to curb their anxiety, increasing their alcoholic intake. Imagine those people who have survived. Imagine those people who have suffered the losses. Same individual who was in ICU as a helper is treating a boy who's 16 years old, and this boy has lost his father, mother, and sister. He is now shifted to orphanage. This is the situation which we don't see them, we don't hear about them, we don't talk about them. It's too painful for us because we want to live in a cocoon, believe that we are very safe being away from all these inequality. This is a situation which has been present. So, unfortunately, PTSD also influences your mood, your cognition, your intellectual ability. They feel a fog, a mental fog. I was treating an individual recently who had to stay for 1.5 months in ICU. And he was completely devastated health-wise. And he came to me, he had severe mental disturbances. He did not trust anybody. He felt everybody was stealing. He felt he would not leave his wife because out of fear, if something happens to her, what will happen to me? Whole family had to sit around him and help him. This was reaction to corticosteroid which saved him. It's a double-edged weapon. It saves people. He had mild fibrosis, but corticosteroid has brought out his physical condition quite well. It took me 2 months to get him back to some normalcy. He has a perpetual fog. He has definitely visual disturbances. There are disturbances of any part of the body. The situation is quite ugly and disturbing. And then there are bad lessons. What are the bad lessons? Bad lessons is digitalization, increased screen time. If you look at it, how many people become addicted to the screen? There is a situation called FOMO. It's something to do with, if I wake up in the morning, I may have missed something. So you sleep with a mobile. Mobile becomes your teddy bear. The moment you wake up, you start scanning who has called and who you missed. You never put it on silence. If, of course, a youngster who loses his mobile, there is a catastrophe in his house. My driver, poor fellow, had to run and buy another mobile for his son. He was creating a ruckus because he thought my lessons are coming on mobile. Nobody's bothered about lessons. It's a social contact. You go to a party, everybody's talking on mobile. People are hugging each other, but they're looking at mobile. Has anybody called me? Fear of losing something is so strong, as if you're missing some good things in life by not looking at your mobile. So, Samit Alwai, who's a developmental pediatrician, found in children also, there were so many problems related to screen time. Most of my patients had put on weight. Some people were given up alcohol, started drinking. Those who were drinking increased their drink. The weed smokers who became a zombie by smoking extra weed. And most of the time they were stuck onto the screen, either iPad, TV, computer, internet. So the life revolved. And this was a bad scene, pretty bad scene. And to take the children away, the biggest punishment you can ever give a child today is to take away his iPad, take away his phone, and he will be miserable, like a, opium addict. If you don't give him his dose, he gets totally desperate. Understand that this is a phenomena which is well documented. There are permanent brain changes when you're addicted to screen. Your dopamine surge, which comes as the same thing as you enjoy orgasms, the dopamine surge is related to screen. What you watch on the screen, it makes you a hero with no effort. It makes you feel so good. It was such a nice serial. We enjoyed it thoroughly. You must see that. And if you look at the serial, it's the same thing as Shubhai said, no? Same thing happening over and over again. And there are 3 stories simultaneously going on. It keeps you occupied for 6 to 8 to 10 episodes, 3 seasons. The more you watch, more you get addicted. This is the situation which was quite bad. What is going to happen? What is going to happen to this society? We are, as Rushi said, that we work for retirement. We work for pension. We dance according to somebody's drums. We are slaves who have not opportunity. We are succumbed to the social needs. We are social animal and sense of belonging to the society, asking for promotion, asking for some privileges, asking for the better house, better, bigger TV, bigger mobile, etc., has made us a social slave. We are not looked at other side of the brain, which is your creative brain, your right side of the brain. Left side is logical, mathematical, programming. All that society wants, left brain does it. The better the left brain activity, more successful you are. Right-sided brain is emotions, creativity, music, dance, those phenomena which bring something within you to surface. Shut off. So many times I ask these income tax officers who retire, they have nothing else to do. They become a burden at home. The wives tell them, Baba, jao, kaam pe jao, kahin bhi jao, घर पे मत रहो. दीवाना बनाते हमको. पहले दुनिया को दीवाना बनाता था, अभी ऑफ कर देना बनाता है. They don't know. Whole life has revolved around those values which are inculcated into you, nothing of the self. Kazantakis, In Zorba, the Greek says what? If you want to be happy, learn to dance. Be mad. Be insane. Your touch of liveliness and happiness is in those activities. Can I have a glass of water? So, Rumi said, no? Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today, I'm wise and I'm changing myself. That was the good lessons which COVID taught us. That resilience. If you want to be strong within yourself, believe in yourself, trust yourself, challenge yourself, make yourself better, and that silent achievement in yourself is more satisfying than getting 10 promotions. Enjoy what you can do within yourself. And that change is very necessary. So you require confidence, support, purposefulness, and lastly, adaptability. Take a foot forward, even if it's a high, I'll go into it. I'm willing to take challenge just to be myself. I want to look and find myself, weaknesses, good points, bad points, no fear. I am my own teacher. So COVID, like a strict teacher, has punished you, but left behind lessons which you'll remember for the lifetime. It's people who have benefited from lockdown, people who have benefited from solitude and isolation, are those people who can look into themselves comfortably. Let me tell you my experience. In June, I was having some pain in abdomen, so I went to Hale and Hearty. I went into hospital, and there I suddenly became breathless. I was not having COVID. My oxygen level dropped to 80%. I became immensely breathless. I was in hospital, Bombay hospital. I was admitted there for 15 days. For first 4 days, what happened, I don't know. I could hear only ting, ting, ping, ping, chick, chick. I was not allowed to get up. Meanwhile, I realized my right leg was completely paralyzed. It is called neurogenic claudication. My power was 0 to 1 when normal power is 5. So I was not allowed to move, allowed to do anything. I was kept there cursing doctors. Please let me go. I'm all right. I'm all right. I had septicemia because I was operated for prostate in September, harbored urinary tract infection, which flared up because of my bad management of diabetes. Those 15 days lying there alone gave me an advantage to look at myself. What am I running for? Where am I going to go? If there's something is going to save me, it's place here. I have to be comfortable here so that I can live a normal life. Something has to be looked into. I found that what I was running for, my patience, my success, my glory, was 0. No, nothing was useful. Nobody was going to come to my rescue because there was COVID. Even my children were not allowed to come to me. They have very restricted entry. I was eating food given in the hospital, which is horrible, but that was necessary for survival. I was discharged after 15 days, completely reformed. I understood that I have to survive. I have to learn to be content with my limitations. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm standing today with you, in front of you. I walked out of the hospital on a wheelchair. walked with a walker for 2 months, the stick for 4 months, and now with difficulty, I walk without support. That achievement came with a serious physiotherapy, every day virtual physiotherapy for 45 minutes. That is my life. That is my survival kit. I have to understand that if I have to face, I have to schedule my timing. I didn't go to consulting room for 3 months. I started seeing patients on virtual. I had to keep my mind occupied. I stepped up my charges to restrict my patient, told them to go elsewhere. Those who want to stick around me, pay for it. I'll decide what I want to do with money. Not that its earning is important for me. What is important here is to realize that you can use lockdown, which is compulsory. ICU was a compulsion. I was not let go. I was trapped, prisoned. Solitude is one place which is elective. You select. As you are lying there in ICU, you start looking at yourself. Most of the people exist in this denial. There's nothing wrong with me, sir. He's drinking alcohol, coming sozzled at night, collapsing next day morning. He comes to me, "Sahab, chhod diya." Chhod diya? Aaj subah se kuch nahi liya. Normal. Every day in KM hospital, chhod diya. Aaj subah se kuch nahi liya. Bloody alcohol is destroying your brain. Idiots. Have you seen chronic alcoholic? What do they talk about? Same jokes, same stories, same friends. Their brain is sozzled, suffocated with alcohol. There's evidence that a 40-year-old man who has been drinking regularly, his brain is like Alzheimer's, advanced Alzheimer. His capacity for problem solving is zoom. Slowly and gradually, you become aware. So you're conscious, but still incompetent. Gradually, as you become conscious, you struggle to get adjusted and change, adjusted and change, adjusted and change. Willing to take a bigger step, what you believed, valued, satisfaction, happiness, everything goes down, gap. So you have to do something new to have a change. Take a step forward. And then as you realize what happened, you become unconscious but competent. It becomes a part of you. Vallabh will tell you about Vipassana. What do? They lock you up. 15 days with yourself. You cry, you howl, feel bad. The chakras are being activated. Nothing else is solitary confinement. It teaches you to look into yourself under the guidance of a guru. I was in Burma for 18 days with my wife. I lost my wife 2 years back. I could take that shock. It was difficult. My admission in ICU was because of the stress also. We had a fire in the house where goods worth 25, 30 lakhs were destroyed just prior to her death. I survived that. I claimed that I survived, but my system was calling for attention. System was wanting to change. And that lessons I got from ICU. Ladies and gentlemen, what is required for survival is look at yourself. The peace is there. Comfort is there. Challenge is there. Good and bad within you will put you to a place where you'll feel more happier. You'll dance, sing. COVID has been a harsh teacher. Who was a harsh teacher? Who used solitude to the advantage? The person who Rishi got married to, Annapurna Devi. 50 years of solitude. Elective. She stopped performing, giving public performances because somebody got jealous. She stopped talking to anybody. There was a board outside, ring the bell 3 times. And if nobody answers, slip your card and walk away. No exposure. She was only open to her students. That solitude. How many musicians she has brought out. How many people. She was a harsh teacher. She whipped people. Denied the education, denied teaching them. She was a strict in her. And she always used to laugh at Roshi. But tum subko sikhata hai, tum to sikhta nahi. But that solitude has benefited many, many, many. It has given us the substance, soul substance of music, which has survived each generation and not gone into the drain. Roshi was an excellent orator. He could communicate well. But this woman had stuff within her. She would teach. Even a bad student will come out well. Examples are many. Students who were given up by other good musicians, they came to her and she would teach them differently. And today, they're successful musicians, successful players. That's a different solitude. Many artists, painters, Picasso, everybody, wherever you look around, is the one. They spent their life, and the creativity only came from solitude. It's yourself when you listen, and the music starts playing. Thank you very much.
Shivanandhan sir, come. Kavita, ma'am. Please. Okay, before I invite Dr. Kavita Laghate, please, ma'am, please. Sanjeev?
I'll give you company.
Yeah. We have some time for question and answers. The cheats are with you, but if you want to ask direct questions, introduce yourself. Make it sweet and short, and then we can take it a few questions from your end. I think Dr. Kishan Khanna has raised some question. Is he there? Yes, sir. Khanna sir, please, can you? But you can speak. So we would love to. Yeah.
Don't you think it's about time that we should make this a facility thing for our youth in the schools? Because I know that when I was a young man, what they taught me was quite trivial. The history I learned was only Mughal history and British history. I never things like that. Of course, I believe things are going to change now with the new education policy, which has come out in July 2020. But I wanted Ashit Bhai's, I wanted your comments on this very important subject of Indian values, Indian heritage, Indian culture.
Can I have a mic, please?
And Indian history. Thank you.
Mic layout. Same mic will do. No issue. Come.
There is a strange thing about Indians. They keep the house tidy, but the environment very dirty. I was good in geography and maths, but I never saw igloo in Eskimo. I never saw Red Indian in his tents. I never saw Brazil. Whatever little I saw. So the indication of the whole education is the Indian philosophy, Indian, the message what people are trying to convey is improving yourself with your own ability. Although America has more Nobel Prize and people who pursue, like Albert Einstein and everybody, who persist with their passion, there are more opportunity for pursuing their passion abroad because of the financial liberties. But that doesn't mean that Western culture, following Western culture, is going to give you that passion. The passion has to come from within, whether you're in India, Japan, China, anywhere. So it's a one place where you can look into, not the history, not geography, not mathematics, in within yourself and activity or emotions. When emotions are put in motion, you get success. Emotions are main driving force. It's your fight or fight battle which are guided by your emotion. If there's a fire, you will not contemplate kahan se fire ya, ye kisne jagaya. ये सब गलती है. फायर ब्रिगेड उतना ऊपर आना चाहिए ना, 28th फ्लोर पे क्यों नहीं आता है? No, you run for your life. Your emotions are looking out for your salvation. So when you can mobilize emotion for your survival, why can't you mobilize your emotion for your own happiness? Not passive, actively pursuing something.
Sushil. You can speak.
Should be role models for the rest of society. Why is it that some of the topmost doctors lead miserable lives in terms of leading a healthy life? You know, they're alcoholic, chain smokers, and they do it in front of their patients, and they expect the patient to lead a good, healthy life. So why is that? The second thing is the doctors who do such precision surgery, when they write, their hand is shaking, and I doubt whether any doctor can read his own prescription.
You forget the doctors are human being. And all human being looks out for immediate kick, the spontaneous pleasure, passive pleasure which is delivered from outside. Very few doctors take up this discipline, which they tell patients to adapt. I was a smoker. I used to smoke 20 to 30 cigarettes a day. On 9th November, 1989, I had an operation on my knees because I had met with an accident where I tried to get into a running train, trying to save time. I tried to get into a running train and fell off the train at 40 miles, tearing all the ligaments of the knees. The 9th November, my son was about 3 or 4 years old. And when I cough, obviously I'll infect him. When I smoke, I leave behind carnitine behind. I decided to give up. At that time, I was pursuing hypnosis a little seriously. I did my covert conditioning. Through the anesthesia, when I was coming out of anesthesia, I attributed all bad things which was happening to me, my accident, pain, discomfort, everything to my smoking. Kept on rehearsing. That is called covert conditioning technique. After that, I never dreamt of, 6 months later, I dreamt about smoking. I caught myself smoking in dream, but I never craved. My conditioning was done. I was out of my habit completely. This ICU also taught me to control my diet, my exercise, change my working routine, take up limited patients, look after them. Doctors are very tough. There's a craziness in their head. I can change. I can save. I'm God. I am a big, big God, better than God. God wanted to kill him. I saved him. I'm better than God. So simple to believe. And this is extremely difficult to remove. You start arguing with the doctor, you're done with. You please a doctor, you're so good, you're so nice, then he listens to you. Otherwise, he's no time to listen to you. He is soaked in his own admiration. And there are enough people to admire because it's a life-saving skills. He is a human being. He gets too stressed at the end of the day, so he wants to have few pegs of alcohol. And he wants to party because that's a relaxation for him. We're tuned to this external environment and dum-dum, tum-tum, pum-pum. Your achievement is a silent achievement. When you achieve something within yourself, that is the noise. That is what is required. Doctors don't know. Everything has a cause and effect. Everything has a cause and effect. Because you're eating, that's why you got diabetes. You stop eating. How can I stop eating? You're eating sweets, don't eat sweets. But this is not going to change people unless he realizes something has to go down his throat to change him. It's a difficult lesson to convey. I remember one preacher whose name doesn't come to me. He used to cure many fishermen who used to drink heavily. A simple technique. A lecture was very good. What would he tell him? Where is your God? The God is within you. You agree that God is sitting within you? And you pour alcohol on top of it? Will you allow that? And that made many people give up alcohol. If somebody was smart, if you would have gone to Ujjain, there is a Shiva who has to take extra alcohol, and there is foreign liquors and Indian liquors. So if you're a big devotee, you'll take foreign liquor. And if you're a simple devotee, you'll take a simple liquor. He would have argued. A doctor would put an argument like that. So what is important for doctors to realize they're not God. They're human being. Looking into themselves is nothing to do with treating the patient, curing the patient, making patients better. It's yourself.
Raja, I have a question. Now, the question is, you said you have learned the doctor-patient relationship, and the patient satisfaction is why I put it in my vision and mission in my hospital. I'm a retina surgeon, was in Bombay Hospital with you. But the main thing is, I think, how do we teach the patient-doctor relationship is a bilateral, and it's not only doctor to the patient. And then how do we, it's a general, I think, article. The problem is they come with too much of expectation. As you said, every day they call me God, but I tell them I'm not God.
Doctor is coming with expectations?
No, the patients. I'm a doctor. So, okay. I agree. So what I'm saying is, how do we tell the general public that the expectation is they want you to do miracle, which is not possible. When they are blind, they want me to give them a vision. I tell them one day it will happen, not today. No, it's like how they make them understand the reality.
These patients who come with expectation and worship you like a god, they can also make you a devil very soon. Their expectations are not fulfilled. So spend time. I'll give you an example which was given in the book which first I read about doctor-patient relationship. A woman was suffering from terminal cancer and she was crying in hospital. So doctor sat beside him and asked her that, yes, I know it's difficult because the death is nearing you. Is something else bothering you? He says, doctor, I'm not crying. I'm not afraid of dying. I have a son who is mentally retarded. And I don't know who will look after him if I die. This is doctor-patient communication. You have to reach out to expectations, talk to their emotions. Tell them bluntly, this is not going to be possible. Don't give them hopes. Difficult. I tell, now I've got guts to tell patient, if you want my treatment, you have to behave yourself. You have to take your medicines. अरे डॉक्टर साहब लॉकडाउन था ना मेडिसिन नहीं मिला ऐसे लॉकडाउन में सब कुछ मिला मेडिसिन नहीं मिला no you are not available I said I was available in majority of the whole period I was available भाई क्या है डॉक्टर साहब 4-5 दिन का ही घोटाला हुआ है so when they come with a full-fledged relapse in some mental illnesses they require long-term medication like schizophrenia bipolar disorder or obsessive compulsive disorder. They require long-term management. So you have to persuade them, get tough on them, persuade them, become a teacher with punishment. If you want my treatment, these are the rules. If you don't want, there are 400 psychiatrists. I started as a 12th psychiatrist, to 400, running to 500 psychiatrists in Bombay. You can approach anyone. And the list is available. I'll give you directory of psychiatrists in Bombay. Patient thanda ho jata hai. They learn to discipline. So cut down on their expectations, tell them this is not going to happen. Understand? And I learned my physiotherapy when my power was 0 or 1. My physiotherapist told me, no pain, no gain. Pain, when you pain, just wait, let you recover. From 0, today I'm at 4, 3 and 4 power. It was neurogenic claudication, lower motor neuron type of damage. So my leg was completely, it has become thin stick. So understand, every day she is virtual for 4 minutes. No excuse, no smiling, no joking. She's a thin little girl, controls me so comfortably. I try to humor her, no laughter. She is a strict teacher, but she got the result.
Good evening, doctor. I'm Pramod Shah. I've been associated with BMA last more than 25 years, and I'm former chairman of the Institute of Community of India, and also executive director in Lions Clubs International, where we work with Dr. Shivanandhan also. Sir, only 2 small questions. One is, sir, you mentioned about your sickness, fire, accident, and then loss of wife also, sir. So all these odd things happen in your life. What made you survive or made you to come out of it? That is one question. Number 2 questions, sir, if you are a psychologist, I would like to ask you, don't you think happiness is a state of mind? And your comments on materialism versus spiritualism, sir. Thank you.
Your experience has shown more questions in one sentence. So let me answer first. PTSD, whenever you have vulnerability to react badly or your PTSD is severe, it depends upon genetic predisposition. It depends upon childhood experiences. Those children who are abused either physically, emotionally, or sexually. Also depends upon your early adolescence and environment. Depends upon substance abuse. Alcoholic have a bad PTSD. I have a patient who's an alcoholic, went to jail for 3 months. He still get nightmares. So these are vulnerability which makes people, some people are strong emotionally. Some people deny under the carpet. They survive. People require intensive therapy. Like there is a process called EMDR, the eye movement disorder. That means you train your eyes like modified hypnosis, reactivating the incidents over and over again. You desensitize yourself. So that is one part. Some people require medications like antidepressants. For nightmares, there is another drug called prazopressin, which is used for prostate once upon a time, but it is good for flashbacks. And thirdly, in some psychotherapy, some social rehabilitation, we tend to divert their attention into some activity or other. That's about PTSD. Spiritualism and psychology, there is mind and matter. Spiritual aspect of mind, we know very little about. Although we have evidence to say that it's working, it's good, it's satisfying. But today the biology of brain is so completely changed the concept of mental processes. Even with yoga, even with regular practice of any meditation technique, there are changes in the brain which modifies your thinking. So we are not processes which changes your consciousness, spiritual experiences are recognized, and we have now the instrument to probe the changes produced by this process. But we don't know where it is helpful and where it is not helpful. For normal people, yoga may help, meditation may help, but a schizophrenic, I had a patient who took meditation for 1 month and had a relapse. Meditation is a stressful exercise. But today, as we know more and more of biology, we probably will become aware of which people are more susceptible than others.
We are running out of time, so may I request Kavita ma'am to say a few words on. She is the president of Bombay Management Association, and then I'll request Rajesh Sharma sir to propose a vote of thanks. But before that, let me say thank you to Sanjeev. It was his idea to invite Ashit sir, because he knew that.
One short incident, how I met with Rishi, Dr. Ashit Sheth. One of my friend, 15-20 years back, got into depression because of business losses, and he developed suicidal tendency. I take him to Rushiji, and Rushiji say okay, he need a complete medication as well as a psychotherapy. So we went to Dr. Ashit Sheth. After 6 to 8 visiting and 3 months of medicine, today is one of the largest exporter and manufacturer of clothing, and he runs 10,000 people factory, and he has his own multi-speciality hospital in Rajasthan. So that's how I always perceive that mental health should be taken very well, and to meet this kind of people will change your thought process. Thank you.
Just one, people have less trust in psychotropic medicines, but they don't mind taking alcohol. They don't mind breathing air in Bombay. As somebody told me, Jayan Bhai Desai used to say that smoking is much better than deep breathing in Bombay. They don't mind consuming substances like tobacco. They don't mind, even doctors don't mind prescribing life-saving medicines and antibiotics. But when it comes to psychiatry, they are so stingy. They undertreat. I have a patient who was treated with 7 shock treatment. She did not recover. She had a different type of depression, which unfortunately, 3rd episode, first who responded to shock treatment, husband took willingly, she also agreed to take shock treatment. It helped her and referred her to me, husband to me, and said, if you can help her. This is called bipolar depression. The oldest medicine in psychiatry today is lithium carbonate. I gave her the medicine, called her after 4 days, and you wouldn't recognize a girl who was wearing gray and feeling so disheveled, never bothered to look after herself. And she walked in wearing a nice sari, smiling, cheerful, with lipsticks on her lips. Couldn't recognize her. I said, what's happened? That's lithium carbonate. It's a specific drug for bipolar disorder. Discovered years back. Now, let me tell you, the story doesn't end there. No pharmaceutical is interested in developing a molecule. There are a number of elements which may be useful in depression. There are examples where it can pursue, but they're not interested because there's no money in it. That is our pharmaceuticals.
Thank you. Good evening, all. And it was really very nice to have all of you here. And thank you, Dr. Seth, Dr. D. Shivanandhan, and of course, our former president, Shri Bhaskar Joshi. A few months we were discussing about the collaboration of Bombay Management Association and the friends of Professor Rooshikumar Pandya. I'm so happy that the Professor Rooshikumar had, remembering him after so many years by celebrating his birthday on 27th of March. What a personality he must have been. I did not get opportunity to meet him or sit in his class, but glimpse of his lectures was, I think, mind-blowing. And I saw the BMA board also there. So must be in the BMA repository, they will be there. We will try and bring them out and keep it on our YouTube channel. Bombay Management Association is a pioneer management association which started in the late 50s, and we are still getting many experts who will help us in developing management, leadership, and many aspects of management. Do join us on our YouTube channel. And I'm so happy next year also we are going to meet in the same way, but it may not be an annual meeting of all of us. We can have that in our BMA events also. So do log in to the Bombay Management Association's YouTube channel. And thank you all for giving us the opportunity to be the friends of Rooshikumar Pandya. And as you have seen in the film, he had done many such events for Bombay Management Association, and we are thankful that the memories of Shri Rooshikumar Pandya will keep live through this memorial lecture. Thank you very much for coming for this event also.
Thank you, ma'am. I think I saw Chitralekha representative Manan. The book is available outside, so those who want to have a look at quotation book. So when you have a cup of tea, you can take also. May I request Rajesh Sharma, the Vice President of Bombay Management Association, to propose a vote of thanks. Then we'll have a national anthem and then we can discuss.
So it's an honor to be present in today's deliberation, and thank you very much, sir, for a very wonderful session. I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. I mean, it was a wonderful session, sir, on a practical aspects of life and on the personal examples which you gave. There are a lot of personal learnings which we take from here. And the one-liner which I took was that put emotions into motion and you get success in life. And I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Shivanandhan also to take out time for being present here, Professor Bhaskar Joshi for organizing all this, and also Mr. Sanjeev Shah for being very, very instrumental in organizing this session, Professor Kavita Laghate, President of Bombay Management Association, for being present here, and friends of Mr. Rooshikumar Pandya for being present here, and all invitees and participants. And I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank all the staff members of BMA who at the back end keep on working a good job for organizing such events. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here.
Sharma sir, I think before I national anthem, we must thank Rajan and Vallabh Bansali because they are not here, but without their help, we would have not done it. Thank you. So let's join for a nation. Jana Gana Mana Adinayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vikata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Uttara Ganga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchala Jala Sitaranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mage Gaye Tava Jaya Gata Jana Gana Mangala Dayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vikata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He. Thank you. Please join us for a cup of tea outside.
Otherwise, Shibai will fade away from the memory. Mukesh.